What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mohawk Motors. My name is Jason. So I've got a little update. Actually, I've got a little update, a big update, and then a project for this video. So little update is I've got the blue truck all through inspection, passed, legal, on the road, driving, no problems there. That thing is, well, I guess I shouldn't say no problems because we're actually working on this in today's video. But the big update I have is my business has been doing well, and I treated myself to a new tool to help the business, save my back, and in general make my work safer as well. So here it is. A new tractor. So just got delivered yesterday. I've already got a job for it today, and this is going to be one of those jobs that it should make it a lot safer for me and also easier overall. And that job, that project, is getting the bed off of this truck. So the bed is in overall good condition, but I need to pull it because I think 3 or 4 of the bed mount bolts are they're either cut off with a torch or just not there at all. So I want to get the bed lifted up off and correct it and get the correct hardware in holding the bed on. I think it would probably be fine how it is, but I know it's not right, and that bothers me, so I want to get it corrected. I want to get the cut-off bolts removed and the missing ones put where they go and see what all is going on under here. And the other thing is a notorious rust spot in all of these 99 to 07 trucks is there's a cross member that runs over the top of the gas tank, holds the gas tank up, and it's right down where that gap between the cab and bed is. And stuff tends to gather on that cross member and rot them out. There was a huge pile of mulch and debris and sticks between the cab and the bed when I got the truck, and I got a lot of it squirted out with the hose. But while I have the bed off, I want to check everything else out, make sure everything is how it should be, because I am going to have to take this to emissions soon, and if there's any issues, they're going to fail. I don't want that to happen. So yeah, I'm going to get the bed bolts out, get the electrical connections and the fuel filler neck disconnected, and then I'll show you what I want to do to lift this bed off, which I think, like I said, it's going to be safer for me, easier for me, and it'll allow me to maneuver this bed around and work on those bolt holes on the underside without worrying that this thing is going to fall off and crush me or injure me or anything else. So yeah, I'll get some of that boring stuff done and out of the way, and then I'll bring you back when it's time to actually lift this bed up off. All right, team, so turns out there were 5 bolts in it, and I managed to get 4 of them out, and one of them, whoever did this job previously, cross-threaded for me and made it impossible to get out. So I had to melt the head off of that one with the torch. But it's unbolted now, it's unplugged, the fuel fill is disconnected, so it's ready to be lifted off. And then what I'm going to try to lift this thing off of here is I've got these 2 4x4s, and I cut them to length so they'll fit. You can see they'll sit underneath the bed rail here. And I've cut them both as long as I can on both sides and still get them in there. So my plan is, I bought the tractor with forks to just come in from the rear and get the tip of the forks right under this front block and the rear of the forks under the rear block, and then hopefully I should be able to just lift straight up and then back away, and I'll probably get maneuvered over here and aim the bed toward the garage just to make it easier to work on. I think I'll probably throw a ratchet strap or two across from the bed holes here also, just to keep it secured to the forks when it's up in the air. Give me that extra little bit of safety. So I'll sit you up here somewhere that you can see what I'm doing, and hopefully get it lifted up off of here. First job with the new tractor. Hopefully everything goes to plan. You know how you can just tell, like, you can just tell when people did poor work just from looking at it. When I bought this truck and the things that I noticed, I just knew, like, whoever had worked on it, it was going to be poor work, and I was going to have to spend some time getting it corrected. And no surprise, there's just really poor work here. So they managed to break all of the lines. The let's see if I can remember which is which here. I believe this is the supply to the engine. They managed to break that, and yeah, that looks like that's a quality repair, right? No. This is for the evap system, and I mean, let's see here. Did they? Oh yeah, that was on there. That was good for sure. And they've got a fitting over here that appears that they just went ahead and, you know, a little Gorilla Tape to get that back together. No big deal. Yeah, a little Gorilla Tape. Split the hose, Gorilla Tape it. She's good as new. You never know the difference, right? And then something else. This is the tank vent, I believe, which they went ahead and we'll use a clamp on that. That's good too. So there's yeah, I don't have a lot of faith. I'm gonna check this all out, see what I can see. Fortunately, I do have other trucks here. I actually have another one right over in the driveway that was originally, it was a V6 truck, ran and drove, everything worked. So hopefully maybe the parts that I need that they broke, I can steal off of that to put onto here. But before I do that, I gotta, oh, look at that. That's a nice that they went ahead and didn't bother to tighten the clamp holding the filler neck on. That's good. Jeez Louise. You knew this, Jason. You knew you were gonna find this. You knew you were gonna find this. And then here's more. Like I said, like this mulch, it was piled up this high on the cab, between the bed and the cab. So I'll go ahead. I'm gonna crack out the pressure washer and get all this pressure washed off, get all that out of there, all this off of here, because this is what kills this cross member. That stuff sitting on it, holding moisture against it, it just eats it. So we'll get that all pressure washed out. We'll get this part pressure washed out. And then I can see, I'm not sure what happened over here, but they went ahead and bent the frame. Can you see that that's bowed up? So we'll get that bent back down how it goes. This one's arced up. We'll get that hammered down flat where it goes. And this one, it's bent down. I believe they used a Sawzall on that one. So that's all stuff. I should have the parts. I should be able to get that corrected. On the bed over here, we've got, this one is twisted off, which is actually, I think I'd rather have twisted off, because I can probably weld to the end of the old bolt in there, get a good weld on it, and then get a nut on it, and then heat it up enough to actually get that to back out, I think. Same with this one. It looks like they cut as much of it as they could with a Sawzall, and then they knocked the head off with a cold chisel. This one is also clearly cut off. Hopefully I can weld a nut onto what's left of the bolt there and get that spun out. This one actually came out. This is the one that spins, so I'll have to see if I can't get it cleaned up here around it a little bit and get the actual threaded portion welded over here, and that should hold that well enough that I can get it out. This one came out, but I think the threads are a little boogered. This one came out, but the threads are a little boogered, and this one actually came out, and I think it's going to be just fine. So I've got a little work to do underneath here. I've got a little work to do over here. And I think what I'll do is get out the pressure washer, get that cleaned off so it can start drying. And while that's drying, I'll get started on some of this mess under here, getting it taken care of. I mean, it's a pretty solid bed otherwise. Apparently it just had a dingleberry do this fuel sending unit replacement job. But I don't see anything that can't be fixed. Fortunately, they didn't cut up the frame or do anything else real stupid. And hoses and lines, plastic parts, like I said, I think I have all the pieces that I should need to be able to get that fixed. So I'll move my wife's car so I don't get it filthy, and then I'll get started pressure washing this thing. All right, it's a little later. That took longer than expected, but I was able to get parts and pieces off of the trucks that I have around here in various states of disassembly to get everything repaired. I had a truck that I've already pulled the engine out of that I was able to grab this fuel line that was broken. I had another that I was able to grab the evap line to the charcoal canister that was broken. And that same truck also had this evap line on it that runs over here, as well as this rear evap line. So, well, these might be vents, I'm not sure. Anyway, I've got all of the lines now. These are all factory parts. As far as I know, they are all good parts. We got the filler neck all tidied up, fancy, ready to go. And I got all of that dirt and debris and gunk and nastiness washed off of this thing. And it looks like, you can see, it was starting to eat this cross member, but I don't see any penetrating rust, just some surface rust. So I think that one's gonna be okay. The rear cross member is still solid, nothing to worry about there. Overall, the frame on this thing is solid. This is going to be a driver. I'll eventually probably soup it up and do stuff to it. I'm already planning on swapping it to a V8 at some point. But it's going to be a cruiser, street machine. Just go have fun. It's not a show truck, so I'm not worried about it being perfect. I'm not worried about the original undercoating peeling off in some places. I don't need that stuff. So this portion I'm happy with now. I got these portions that were bent, hammered back flat. Everything on frame truck side looks good. So I've got a little bit of daylight left that I can start trying to get these what are they? I can start trying to get all these bed mounting bolts sorted out. The one that spins, I think I'm going to try to weld the threaded portion to the cross member and then see if I can't get that bolt the rest of the way out of it. And then the ones that are twisted and cut off, same thing. I'm gonna try not to break the cage nut off of the bed cross member. I'm gonna try to just heat things up, get a nut welded onto those, and see if I can't get them spun out that way. So probably, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna get it put back together today, but hopefully I can at least get most of these messed up bed mount bolts off of it. And then I'm gonna have to come up with a set of good bed mount bolts. Of the ones on this one, only one is usable. The threads are all messed up. And I got a few off of another truck that I have here, so I'll have to probably snag a couple more off another truck, so I have a complete set of 8. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, I need to get the messed up bolts out of the bottom of the bed. All right, team, so it's the next day now. I did manage last night to get all of the broken, cut, twisted off bolts out of the bed. And there wound up being 4 of them that I had to extract. And man, a couple of them were real bears. This one was really, that one really fought me. I think I had 2 or 3 failed attempts on that one alone before I managed to get enough welds stuck to it and get it worked out. And then got these other ones out. Then I went through and I chased all the threads with a tap to make sure the threads are all nice and clean. And then I set the bed down just so it would be, you know, safe. I have it sitting on tires overnight because we were calling for some wind and I didn't want anything to happen, blow it off the forks or anything like that. So that brings me to putting it all back together. So I'll use the tractor, pick it up, get it set back in place. I think I already showed you that I've got all the plumbing, all the evap and emissions, all of that stuff is all back how it's supposed to be, so nothing to worry about there. And yeah, get the bed picked back up, get it set back into place, and then get it bolted down and everything hooked back up the way it should be. And this this little issue in the back of my head will be resolved. I will no longer worry about not having all 8 bed bolts holding the bed on, and who knows what kind of mess of plumbing underneath here on the fuel tank. Now it's all correct, good, working the way it should be, and I won't have to worry when I take this thing to be tested for emissions. Voila! Just like that, through the magic of YouTube, it's all back together. I anti-seized the heck out of all 8 bolts, putting them back in. They all torqued to spec. In case you're wondering, there's no like torque the bolts to 75 foot-pounds specification for bed mount bolts, at least nowhere that I can find. But based on the size of the bolt, 50 foot-pounds of torque is adequate for that size fastener. So that's what I did, just 50 foot-pounds. And got the lights all plugged back in, got the bed lined up really nicely with the body. And I like to keep my beds as tight to the cab as possible, so I did that. I got the fuel filler hooked back up. She's all ready. And hopefully in the next week or 2, when my notice for emissions inspection comes, I should be able to take it and it should pass emissions without any problems. I'm going to put some miles on it before then, just to make sure it's had enough good trips that their computer is happy, and also to make sure no other problems pop up. But I think for now that's it. This thing doesn't need anything else except to be driven, and eventually I'll reupholster the headliner, but that's going to be, I've done a video on that before. I'm not going to bore you guys with that. So that's it for this one. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed, and you know, thanks for tagging along into that mess of fuel system plumbing that I found underneath of there. And until the next video, everybody, take care.